Burger King getting grilled over their decision to move the company headquarters to Canada. It's all a part of an $11 billion deal to buy the Canadian coffee and donut chain Tim Hortons. Critics say Burger King is trying to get out of paying taxes, and now some are calling on Americans to boycott the Whopper. But Burger King executives say that the move isn't for tax reasons. It's actually to grow the company's presence overseas. Economics professor at Valencia College, Jack Chambless, joins me now to talk about it. Always good to see you. Appreciate you coming in today.
Good to see you. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on this move by Burger King to move out of the U.S.?
First, I applaud Burger King for being a company that draws attention to the fact that the United States has the highest corporate income tax in the developed world at over 39%. Canada, over the last several years, has lowered their corporate income tax to 15%. And so now Burger King is helping to draw attention to the fact that our economy is still struggling in large part because we have a very unfriendly tax environment in the United States of America relative to other countries. And hopefully the attention can now be drawn to how to make us more competitive by getting that tax down.
It's not just Burger King. This has been going on. Maybe this is just the first one that people can relate to because they know the name Burger King, but a lot of companies have been doing this. Where else are they moving right now?
Well, principally Ireland and the UK. Years ago, Ireland lowered their corporate income tax to 12.5%. And Microsoft, for example, set up some operations there. And so now Ireland's collecting 12.5% of billions of dollars from Microsoft and pharmaceutical companies that have moved. And we're collecting 39% of a whole lot less because we refuse to match what other countries are doing.
Do you think a lot of people don't pay attention because it is the corporate tax rate, which they're not going to pay? They'll pay it down the road, but they don't really even know that the tax rate is 40%.
Yeah, I think, of course, a lot of people pay attention to what they have to send to the IRS. And there's, in many ways, an anti-corporation mindset where people believe that corporations don't even pay taxes. But at 39% and even effective tax rates in the high 20s after they're able to take their deductions and what have you, most people are just unaware that corporations are individuals. It's not a monolithic entity. And so they just don't know that real human beings are being double taxed at the corporate rate, at the capital gains tax rate that they have to pay. And so there's just a general lack of knowledge in the United States over the burden that corporate taxes play.
What do you think would happen if the U.S. lowered its corporate tax rate? Will we all of a sudden have a huge shortfall when it comes to funding, or would more companies come back, you think?
Well, if I would recommend that people go on YouTube and watch a speech John F. Kennedy gave in 1962 when he argued that corporate and personal income tax rates should fall dramatically. And then go look at the data on what happened after the Democrat cut taxes, and then look at the tax cuts of the 1980s when Ronald Reagan, the Republican, did the same thing. Revenues increased, the economy boomed in the 1960s and in the 1980s, jobs increased, and we had a tremendous period of economic prosperity. So if the Obama administration wanted to get us out of this sluggish economy we're still in, dramatically lowering those rates would create incentives for companies to stay here and move here and to expand. They'd be able to take new risks, new R&D ventures, and I think we'd see the American economy accelerate in its growth.
It's interesting because some people say it's un-American for companies to move out of the U.S. Others say, you know what, they don't want to move. They want to be here in the U.S., but for their shareholders it doesn't make sense. Is it un-American to move a company overseas?
Well, Treasury Secretary Lew said it's unpatriotic. If patriotism is measured by the degree to which we're beholden to government, then yes, it's unpatriotic. But if patriotism is measured by the degree to which we are beholden to the ideals of our founding fathers, where Thomas Jefferson was very clear that we should not take from the mouth of labor the bread which it has earned, then patriotism is reflected, remember the Stamp Act and the American Revolution, in telling our government that it's our private property, we should be able to keep our private property, and we're not going to send in 39% of our private property from our work.
Again, Jack Chambless, economics professor of Valencia. Always good to see you. Appreciate you coming in today.
My pleasure.
We'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you soon.